Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk joins us. And Mike, it's not just about football tomorrow. It's obviously about eating a lot of food as well. What's on the Florio must-have on Thanksgiving? Give me a couple of items that the Florio family always has.
Well, look, I mean, it begins and ends with the turkey. And I was having the conversation with someone recently. Why don't we roast a turkey more often than 2 times a year, Christmas and Thanksgiving? Like, it's really not difficult. When I was growing up, it was this mystical project that required multiple hours and getting up early and constantly opening the oven and basting this and poking a thermometer in there. My wife and I assumed the duties within the past few years of getting the family bird ready. And I've been stunned at how easy it is. Now, the prep can be a pain in the butt, but I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was in high school, so I'm well-versed in the handling of raw poultry. But once you've cleared all the cavities and removed all of the gross things that come with a turkey and free up all the plastic things that hold it together, it's really not that difficult. So I love a good turkey. And the goal is to find that sweet spot where you've eaten enough, but not so much that inevitably during the first quarter of the late afternoon game, settled into the couch, feeling pretty good, let's watch this game, and then it's halftime because I fell asleep. Like every year I think, hey man, I feel pretty good, let's watch this game. And the next thing I know, they got the Salvation Army kettle out and the halftime performance. It's like, what's the score of the game?
Yeah.
So, and I hate that feeling. I hate struggling. There's no feeling worse than struggling to stay awake. So that's my goal tomorrow. I don't know if I have to have some Red Bull or just extra coffee or something to stay awake, because tomorrow is not the day to fall asleep for either of the 2 games that are on in the afternoon. You want to be wide awake for both of them. They are oozing with playoff implications. And you could argue that the losers of these 2 games are either done or in a position where they have to win out to get into the postseason.
Well, the advice for me is that second trip through with your plate, the second helpings is the scary one, because you might overload the plate there, and that gets you in trouble.
That gets you drowsy. That's the start of getting drowsy.
Yeah.
That second big plate. Yes.
But let's get.
Here's what I do. I don't even do the first big plate. I deliberately get small plate. Don't fill it up, because I know I'm going back the second time. Like I budget for the second plate when I do the first plate, and then there's always that third trip for that just a little bit more of whatever it is that I really want that day. But whatever. There's that point, and we know when we passed it. Like the moment the belt becomes unfastened, that's when the clock starts ticking toward the inevitable comma.
Yeah, no question. Are you guys now you got me going, desserts, because I'm trying to get to know Mike Florio after all these years. Is it about cakes, pies, cookies? What's a dessert?
My wife makes an excellent pumpkin cake with cream cheese icing, and she makes it twice a year because, again, apparently by law we're prohibited from having these things the rest of the year. Right. So that's a go-to, and that lasts for a few days. Like that becomes the Thursday, Friday until I leave on Saturday, and maybe I'll cut a piece and put it in a bag and take it with me like a kid going to school with his lunch. But yeah, that pumpkin cake is awesome. And pumpkin pie too, that's another one. They had an array of pies at the NBC viewing room on Sunday night. And I forget that pumpkin pie even exists. Like I'm looking, do I want cherry? Do I want apple? Oh hell, they got pumpkin. Yeah, pumpkin pie. Give me some pumpkin pie. But and maybe I wouldn't enjoy it as much if it was around all the time. Yeah. But man, it's good. You forget how good it is until you have, I can almost remember every single year the first good slice of pumpkin pie that I had as we got into the November, December months.
Boy, we're shaking our head. Dave and I are looking at you right now going pumpkin pie. Mike Florio, maybe he's a little closer in age to us than we thought. Right,
yeah, you're a traditionalist. You're a Thanksgiving traditionalist like us.
Hey, there's no question. Hey, you guys got into a conversation yesterday that was so good. I want to ask you, so the Jamar Chase spitting thing, we've had a couple guys do that. Now we have a package hit with what took place with Jennings and Morig and everything else. And you guys got into that and how it was going to be handled. And sooner, later on that night, we find out The package hitting from Morick got him suspended for a game. By the way, I was with you guys on that 100% that it was going to happen. It's just we're not used to seeing it. And it is right behind spitting. It's hitting another man's package during a football game. And it does happen, yes.
Well, and you could argue that it's even worse. Like, I'd rather have someone spit on my jersey than punch me there because it doesn't hurt to get spit on. And as Eddie Murphy said years ago, you don't have to hit that area. You only have to graze it inflict significant pain on someone. He reared back. He was like he was at the county fair and they got that game where you got to hit the bag. Yeah. Like he put everything he had in that, and he hit him square. But where it becomes challenging, because the league has taken a very stern stance this year when it comes to sportsmanship. We've seen multiple suspensions. Brian Branch for hitting Juju Smith-Schuster after a game week 5. Dre Greenlaw, the Broncos linebacker, for verbally accosting a referee after that Giants-Broncos crazy game week 7. We saw the spitting suspension. So what happened on Monday night, it's like, how are they really going to work this out? Because what Juwan Jennings did after the game was a lot like what Brian Branch did, and it was several minutes after. It wasn't Jalen Ramsey immediately reacting, and he didn't get suspended for what he did in reacting to Jamar Chase. I think he didn't even get fined for it. It's hard to parse it out because there were multiple incidents that happened in a very tight time frame. But I think they got it right here. I think they are allowing for a certain amount of natural retaliation when you've had a major indignity visited upon you. And also, when Brian Branch hit Juju Smith-Schuster, he's sticking his hand out. Smith-Schuster had no idea it's coming.
Right.
Jennings knew that this was coming when the game ended. So you could just tell by the body language that wasn't on all fours comparable to Brian Branch. But that's the challenge, the precedent that's set and the message that is sent to the players. And if I'm a coach, I'm showing all these moments and I'm saying, they're making it clear, guys, they're not just going to take money out of your next check. They are going to keep you from playing, and they're going to take an entire game check from you if we don't stop doing this. And hopefully at some point the players will figure it out. We were talking about it again today. Chris Sims thinks it's more of an off-season thing where the players are going to get the message and the teams are going to send it properly. But regardless, the league is making it clear about where that line is. And if you cross it, they're going to sit you down. And they got cameras everywhere. Even if they don't catch it during the broadcast, there are cameras all over the place, and they're going to find it, and they're going to get you.
All right, my games tomorrow. The one fascinates me is the middle one. Maybe it's because we're an AFC city and we've been hostage to Kansas City.
Kansas City's owned us too.
Yeah. Are they back? Do you trust them back, or do you trust Dallas? I don't know which team to trust more in this game.
Well, the Chiefs have proven to us over the years that when they're in that single elimination mode, they are virtually unbeatable. 17-3 in the postseason since Patrick Mahomes became the starter. And Sunday's game against the Colts was kind of the first de facto postseason game for the Chiefs. They lose that one, they fall to 5-6. They got a big problem. So now they're 6-5. 6-6 isn't going to be very good for them. They're going to have the greater urgency and they're going to feel less pressure. And they've discovered something. And I don't think it was just a game plan specific thing from Andy Reid. I think he's had an epiphany that with this specific team, he's got to run the ball. They had 41 rushing attempts on Sunday against the Colts. And, it used to be that the opposing defenses would try to have long drives to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline as long as possible. Now I think what the Chiefs are realizing is we need to have long drives to keep our defense on the sideline, to limit the number of opportunities the opposing offense has. We need to control the ball. We need to work the clock. They had the ball for over 42 minutes. Now they played 68, but they still had the ball for over 42 minutes against the Colts. That is the way the Chiefs are going to find a way to win these games down the stretch. So, the Cowboys like to light it up, and they've got George Pickens, who's having a spectacular year. The defense is getting a little bit better. This is a huge game. And when the schedule came out, I said this is going to be the most watched regular season game of all time. When you throw in this element that whoever loses this game is screwed, and it's not like the winner has a clear path to the postseason, but whoever loses this game is screwed, it really raises the stakes. And, 42-1 is the record for the most watched regular season game from Thanksgiving 3 years ago, Giants-Cowboys. I've seen some speculation this one could hit 50, and it won't surprise me if it does.
Wow. Wow, it's incredible. Hey, Mike, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about Madrid. This was my take on the Madrid trip. So there are a lot of fans there, obviously, and they sell out quickly and stuff. I don't know how crazy Madrid is, especially with Real Madrid, one of the top soccer teams in the world. They love their soccer. And Americans were all over it. Don't get me wrong, some were watching, but I could tell outside of the kicking stuff, is that an issue for the cities that I know the Dolphins like that market. They like Spain a lot. But if they're not into it, can you still sell it by just having Americans or people that love it from other countries come and watch it and come to that city?
Well, this is an interesting conundrum for the NFL because as the whole thing was unfolding on that Sunday when the Commanders and the Dolphins played in Madrid, the way they were hyping it on NFL Network, I think there's a real disconnect between how much the NFL cares about these international games and how much the average American fan cares about the games. The NFL is clearly in a long-term, 50-year, 100-year effort to globalize the sport. And there was a time in the 70s when we were kids, like, baseball's the number one sport in America, and football's never going to catch it, and football eventually did. And I don't know that football's ever going to catch soccer as a global sport, but even if it passes cricket and falls between cricket and soccer, that's a win. They're taking the inventory of games they have and they globalize it. They take it around the world. And if they can get people around the world to feel the way we feel about it, billion-dollar business becomes trillion-dollar business. That's all this is part of. Let's get into as many markets as possible. Let's play as many international games as possible. And there was an item last week in the Wall Street Journal. The NFL is closely monitoring developments in the return of supersonic travel because you cut down the travel time. That's one less factor that complicates putting teams in Europe. And I think one of these days, and it may be years from now, but one of these days we could be looking at a 4-team division, 2 teams in London and 2 teams elsewhere in Europe. That's the way this thing could ultimately go for the NFL.
Boy, that is wild. Hey, I got to ask you about a game that a team that's not going to be going to the playoffs, Shedeur Sanders. What'd you think? Why do I still feel like the organization's not completely behind him? Like he's the last guy standing. Do you feel that way a little bit with watching Shedeur Sanders and support he gets from the organization and the head coach, or not?
Well, I was stunned after that game when he came in for Dylan Gabriel that he had no first-team reps at any point in practice at all. And this is what happens when you draft 2 rookie quarterbacks. You get a guy in the 3rd round, you get a guy in the 5th round. What is your priority? Is this analytics-driven accumulation of assets, or is it building a team? So, yeah, Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be as prepared as he could be when he gets his first chance to play. But when he got his first start, and I know it was against the Raiders, but the threshold test when it comes to quarterbacks, do they look the part? Do they pass the eyeball test? And Shedeur did against the Raiders. So I do think that they ideally wanted to keep him on ice as long as they could. For what end, I don't know, because I think it's imperative for the Browns to see what they have in all their quarterbacks because they're going to be in a position to draft one next year. They've got their first-round pick, and they've got the Jaguars because of the Travis Hunter trade. But look, the Browns are the team, and it's funny because they had Paul DePodesta, who came over from baseball to be their chief strategy officer, and I think they're the only team that has that title of chief strategy officer. It's like every strategy they have is a bad strategy. I mean, it's almost like they're trying to come up with bad decisions. But, yeah, now they have something with Shedeur Sanders. Let him start the rest of the year and accumulate the data points that you're going to need to make a decision, because why burn one of your first-round picks next year on a quarterback when you could get a player who's going to help you at another position? You're going to need another Myles Garrett at some point. So they need to end this nonstop revolving door. Shedeur Sanders was starting quarterback number 42 since the Browns returned to the NFL in 1999. That needs to stop. But there is this strange sort of ambivalence between the organization and Shedeur Sanders to the point where it's like, why did you take him? And is it as simple as you looked at your board and the gap between him and the next best available guy was too big to ignore? So we don't care that he's a quarterback. We don't care that he may not fit with what we're trying to do. We're just taking him because he's there. And that would be the ultimate Browns way to get a guy. They just kind of stumble blindly into a situation where they have a guy who could end up being their long-term quarterback.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, Mike, have a great Thanksgiving, man. Really appreciate you coming on and spending time with us. I know we've been together a long, long time, and I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk joining us this morning, talk a little bit about the games and a lot of other things around the National Football League.